Welcome to the 19th ESC Every Soldier Counts podcast.
Wherever you find American troops today, you'll find the men of the Transportation Corps. Enough and on time. That's the story we tell you today. The story of the Army Quartermaster Corps.
These youthful servicemen are members of the Army's Military Police Corps.
One of the most important forces behind the lines, the Army Ordnance Corps.
Welcome to the 19th ESC Every Soldier Counts podcast. Once again, I am Sergeant First Class Adam Ross, Public Affairs NCOIC for 19th Expeditionary Sustainment Command. And on today's episode, we are once again joined by the Team 19 retention team. It's been a little bit since you've been by, and we've got some new faces in retention, starting with Sergeant Major Winter Washington, and we have a familiar face with Master Sergeant Matt Savage, and another new face, we have Sergeant First Class Samantha Recker. So to all of you, thanks for joining us once again, bringing some good information about retention.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Good morning.
What's up? All right, so Sergeant Major, you were talking before we started about kind of your call to action for the day, kind of to get everyone in the right mood for in the morning. So can you go back to that? What your philosophy is on that?
Absolutely. So I see every day as a new year. You know how each year, come December 31st, everybody has their New Year's resolutions on how they want to be great for the following year? Well, my philosophy is every day is a new year. So with that being said, that's a day for fresh opportunities, a change, a new beginning, anything that you've done before today, any mistakes, anything you didn't quite get right. When you get up a fresh day and start the morning, you come into it with optimism, and just know that anything you wanted to accomplish or get right, this is your chance to get it done. And with that being said, the first step in that is self-development, and some areas that everyone should set their mind to do is first, we all have to know ourselves. Journaling, that helps. Practicing gratitude and being thankful, that's another area. And one more is to become an early riser. Now, we get up early anyway to do PT. You know, we should be doing that. But even on the weekends, start the day off early, get everything accomplished, and don't procrastinate. So those are a few of the things that I do each day, and it works. So I'm pretty sure it will work for others as well.
I hope it'll work for my son. I'm going to have my son listen to that part. Maybe he's not an early riser. He's very much a procrastinator. So I've given up on changing his ways. So maybe your pep talk will help him. So Sergeant Recker, any early thoughts on how we're going to close out this month strong?
Well, I think it's about communication. It is not whether we are not here to sell a re-enlistment. We are here to take care of soldiers. Every individual person is in fact a person when they take off this uniform, and it's important for us to ensure that they understand that I don't get paid to keep people in the Army. I get paid to make sure that people have a plan, a solid plan, and that is what it takes. When we're down to the last couple of days of a fiscal year, it's not about trying to get the last few minute re-enlistments. It's about trying to make sure that the soldiers that are the closest out the door have that appropriate in-depth person-to-person counseling so that they are prepared if they do choose to take those boots off and go find a different career path. It is our job as career counselors, not retention NCOs, career counselors, to make sure that they have that ready.
Okay, excellent. Sergeant Savage, anything else to add? Can you top that?
I can't top it, I mean, if we're talking about closing out the month, and for us it's closing out the year, right? The big thing for us is we've had a heck of a run. This last year has been amazing. And just to see the sustainers and the MPs that we have retained in the Army is absolutely outstanding. And it doesn't go to the retention team. It goes back to the commands, the organizations, and the soldiers that honestly want to stay either on Team 19 or Team Army. And that shows kind of why we've promoted for the last year, right? why Korea is the assignment of choice, why we are doing something that elsewhere in the Army they aren't doing. We're doing something right for all these soldiers to want to stay. So we continue to lead the way for our category in the Sergeant Major of the Army's retention category. We continue to show why we're doing things right and we're implementing changes. So for me, personally, it's not about ending the month off strong. It's starting October 1st. So that's what I'm excited for.
Okay, good stuff. And we usually also start out our episodes kind of getting to know our guests. Sergeant Savage had his turn way back on episode 3, I think 2 or 3. So we'll plug that one. You can go back and listen to that one, hear more about Sergeant Savage. So Sergeant Major Washington, you and I have a little bit of history because I was once upon a time there was a Staff Sergeant Ross in one of your mobile retention classes. So I know there's probably a lot of soldiers out there who have benefited from your wisdom. What else can you tell me about your Army career?
Okay, so basically I've been in the Army for 22 years, actually a little bit over 22 years. I started my career off as an 88 Mike for 10 years. Did, of course, my basic training AIT at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Had multiple duty assignments, deployed 4 times, actually 5 now, 4 being combat and 1 being non-combat related. Some of my highlights during my career is when I had the opportunity to be a instructor, which is when I actually traveled around the installations across the Army and taught the DA mobile retention training. It was also known as, before it was known as just retention training. So I've met a lot of soldiers. It was very rewarding because I take joy in the soldiers. That's where my focus is. Leaders, love them. I love everyone. However, my focus is normally on the soldiers because I want to be an inspiration. I attempt to be an inspiration for them to get to where I am. And I like to provide them with the tools and the knowledge or anything that I can contribute to help propel them into their destiny to hopefully become a sergeant major if this is their desire. So that is my spiel on me.
And this isn't your first time in Korea, right?
No, I'm glad you asked. How could I forget? So my combat patch that I wear is second ID. So basically, I was here twice before, not in Daegu. I was actually stationed up north, all the way up north by the DMZ. If any old timers are still in the Army, and remember there was a camp called Camp Edwards. It was the last camp that females could go to close to the DMZ. And I was there. So I had already been in Korea my second actually being stationed here. I was on my 11th month. It was time for me to start preparing to go home. I'm ready. And then we got the call that, nope, everybody stop, hold, freeze. We are deploying to Iraq, Sadr City, Iraq. So we had to stop. Everybody picked up from Korea and we deployed straight to Iraq. We were supposed to be there for 9 months. And then when we got to about month 7, we got notified, nope, you're not leaving at 9 months. You're extended another 3 months. So we had to do 15 months. And it was terrible. Oh, Lord, it was terrible. It's Sadr City. It was what y'all were seeing all over the news back when the war first kicked off. That's what we did. And from there, we bounced to Fort Carson, Colorado. And we were the only brigade within the Army to ever have to deploy from Korea straight to another hard hazardous duty area. So
interesting, yeah, part of history. And so then that brigade, you went from Iraq to Fort Carson, and then they ended up at Fort Lewis, right? Or did they permanently relocated to Fort Carson?
They permanently relocated to Fort Carson, and back then they were up under 4th ID. 4th Brigade at the time when we first got there.
Wow. Okay. And Sergeant Recker, what brought you to the career counselor career field?
So I was a 15 Tango UH-60 Black Hawk mechanic for 13 years. I love turning wrenches. I love teaching people how to do it. But I was a full-time retention NCO for 6 years, working at battalion levels, still turning wrenches and teaching people how to fix helicopters. And it came to a point in my 15 Tango career I didn't have anywhere to go, and I'm not a very stagnant person. I am a very active, on my feet type of person, and I love talking to soldiers. So I originally was going to reclass to a career counselor in 2015, but I was not ready to give up my toolbox, and my soldiers were not ready to let me leave them. So I ended up staying a 15 Tango for 4 more years to do 2 more deployments and ensure that my soldiers that I was leaving was prepared to do that helicopter maintenance without me. 2019, I finally said, okay, I am a staff sergeant. I have checked the blocks in my career map for 15 Tango. I don't have anything else to do. I did positions that weren't typical positions for a 15 Tango to do. So I figured I would share the knowledge that I had gained and the leadership skills that were given to me through mentorship or, different experiences in which I went through. And I decided to take the leap and expand my ability to help soldiers from taking it off the hangar floor and being able to help more soldiers. My biggest thing is I used to get in a lot of trouble from my first sergeant. He used to come to me all the time. Sergeant Recker, these shop's platoon sergeants, man, like, why you keep talking to their soldiers? Well, because they're not giving them the answers they want. Their soldiers want the same thing I'm giving mine. They want to talk about career maps. They want to know what they need to do. So now as a career counselor, nobody can tell me no, because you tell me no, you telling the sergeant major that I can't talk to your soldiers. So I think it is great. I love this job. I wouldn't want to do anything different. I do still miss turning wrenches, but that's okay because I got a garage in my house, and now I'm just tearing apart engines on the weekends, so...
So this is your first assignment as a career counselor, or
this is my second.
Okay, excellent. And we're going to stay with you, Sergeant Recker. You brought some information about a new program that's kind of exciting, the CIP. What can you tell us about that?
All right. So the overview is pretty much the Career Intermission Program is a retention-based initiative which allows soldiers to pursue personal goals or professional growth, while providing a mechanism for a seamless return to active duty, right? So what it's saying is life happens. We are humans. When we take this jacket off and we put our boots on our shoe rack at the end of the day, we're people. We have lives, we have family, we have friends, we have desires, right? This program gives you an opportunity to go and handle those other situations that you have going on without being detrimental. It allows you an opportunity to take a break. You'll join the IRR and you'll take some time off. And you're going to come back and it's not negative. And that's the best thing about the CIPP is it's not negative. You don't have to stop serving your country and, doing what it is that you love to do. But at the same time, the Army as a whole has realized that we really do need to put soldiers first sometimes, and with that comes their family and their friends and their desires and their education. And a lot of times you'll hear, well, Sergeant Recker, I joined the Army to go to school, and now I can't go to school because the op tempo is too high, but I really want to do this. I tell people all the time, I'm in the Army until I grow up, and I ain't getting any taller, right? So it's not about my height, it's not about my age, it's not about, me getting bigger, it's about me being able to accomplish my goals, right? My goal is to open a community-based facility for at-risk youth when I get out of the Army. But I knew that in order to accomplish that goal, I need the Army, right? But this program gives you the opportunity to, in the event that I was not accomplishing that task that I needed to accomplish my goal, my end state goal of opening this community-based facility, I can take that break and I can attend these school classes or these internships that I have to be present for, and then still come back into the Army and finish my time out.
And so the common example used for that program is attending school, but it doesn't have to be school. It could be like any reason you want, right? Or is there certain criteria that have to? So
it is pretty much for any reason. Everything has a justification, right? Everything you do in the Army is a request. There's several different reasons that they've been used in the past, whether it's to pursue a degree, start a family, career, care for a family member, align deployment cycles for dual military couples. That is a really important tool. I was a dual military soldier for 10 years, and luckily enough for us, we had the same deployment cycle, but we have 3 children. So in the event that we were off, this would have been beneficial for, me personally. But you can learn a skill, go to a trade school, do your internship. You have broadening assignments or religious reasons. Sometimes some people just need a sabbatical. some people have been doing this for a minute and they just need a break. We just need to reset. And yes, we get leave, and some people will take their 30 days leave, but I mean, let's be honest, how many leaders have over 70, 80 days worth of leave because we're not taking it, right? I know Master Savage over there sitting in the corner. He got like 117 leave days. I got 96 leave days. You know what I mean? So, and it's great that we're here, but at the same time, this program is so that you can reset. Because sometimes when you take 30 days of leave, you're not resetting. You're handling whatever it was that got behind you while you were over here not taking leave.
And so soldiers interested in that, talking to your team would be a good first step, or what?
So yes, they could absolutely come talk to us about it. There is a website. It is https talent talent.army.mil and /CIP. And it'll give you the information you need. It'll tell you, what is encompassed in it, what are the requirements, what is the contract. There is a contract that comes with it. But that is a very helpful website. But by all means, the retention office is open for any service and career counselor's office to go talk to the CIP program.
Okay, great. And we are going to take a little break, and we're going to come back and talk retention team some more, talk a little self-development. So stay with us here on the Every Soldier Counts podcast.
Phil Merchant here, the Command Safety Director for 19th ESC. Whether you want to call it a hoverboard, electric scooter, or even just the electric bike, it is imperative PTD operators are aware of their surroundings and understand the rules of the road in order to reduce the potential for accidents or endangering pedestrians. Hands-on familiarization has started. Keep your eyes peeled for training announcements or check with your unit leadership or additional duty safety officers.
Welcome back to the 19th ESC Every Soldier Counts podcast. Once again, we are joined by the Team 19 retention team. And Sergeant Major, you said you wanted to talk about self-development. What do you have for us with that?
Yes, when it comes to self-development, the Army has this program. It's called the Performance Triad. It's known as the P3 program. And that is the Army's commitment to strengthen individual readiness to optimize performance through proper nutrition, activity, and sleep. So when you look at those three things, if you really, really think about it, those are three areas that you need for yourself, regardless if you're in the military, a civilian, no matter what profession you're in, you need those three things to optimize your performance regardless. So ensuring that the goal is to try to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Now, I understand everybody's not able to do that. We got early risers getting up, going to the gym in the morning at 4 and working late. So that sometimes is not ideal for people to get that amount of sleep, even though that's what we should aim for. So another way to get at that is maybe on lunch breaks, if you can, go take your power nap real quick, try to get you something to eat, which leads to the nutrition, eating right. All this processed foods, skipping over breakfast, eating one meal a day, unless, of course, you're doing some type of fast or whatever. That's not good. That's not good for the health, and it slows you down, and it makes you kind of, your energy level goes down and so forth. So just making sure you try to eat right, at least breakfast, because that starts today. At least breakfast, drink a lot of water, try to stay away from processed foods and a lot of sugar. That also brings on weight gain and things like that, and staying active, the exercising. We should be trying to exercise at least 5 days a week. We should be doing PT Monday through Friday anyway, getting after it. But still, I know sometimes people have commitments with work. But still, if you can't go in the morning, go in the afternoon, go at lunch, do something, get up and walk around. If you have a job where you sit at the desk all day, take a walk. Get out, reset, take a walk, get some sun, some vitamin D. All of those things, proper sleep, eating right, fruits, vegetables, and so forth. That's what we need to improve and optimize our performance in our daily duties. So, and that's a part of self-development, because you need that no matter where you go. So that's a start.
Yeah, and I noticed, I think for me, I think it's easier to eat better in Korea, because like, it's not like in the States where you go outside the gate and there's a Whataburger right outside the gate, things like that. Like, you kind of have to hunt for the bad foods here, it seems like. They're certainly out there, but you have to work a little bit hard.
Man, I think I had it the other way around, I actually, so the Army, with the P3 and, the holistic health and fitness we have, right, the Army is kind of really changing to make us, I would say, warriors that are optimally trained, proficient. Like, we're focusing on sleep. We're focusing on spiritual health, emotional health. Like, the days of when we were all junior soldiers, like, we always heard the stigma, don't go to behavioral health, don't do that. Now we are pushing, like, go talk to somebody, get power naps in at lunch, get whatever, because they're starting to realize that sleep has a huge factor, nutrition has a huge factor, and like, you're seeing soft units do it, right? And I just read, I wear the Whoop band on my wrist, and 2ID out of 7th ID. So the two BCTs at JBLM, they issued the Whoop band to all the soldiers in those BCTs, and they've been monitoring their sleep and then their strain, their daily strain. So whether it's going to the range, doing PT and everything like that, and how is their recovery from that, right? Based off their nutrition and everything. So me personally, I started doing this, I would say back in July. I lost 20 pounds. And, eating in Korea, I love the food off post. But it's kind of like you said, you have to really hunt for it because, one, I can't read half the stuff. So I don't know what I'm getting. But Korea is full of sodium, But shopping on the commissary and things like that. And we have the facilities here at the Army Wellness Center, and not taking the show in a different road, but that's why Korea is the assignment of choice, right? That's why, like, we continue to, I think, stress that, and every person you can have come on the show will talk about that. But really, like, what do we have in our community? What do we have to offer these soldiers? And you're right, it's not like being back in the States. For some of us, our families are back in the States, so this is the time where we can really change our lifestyle. Whether it's take this 1 year to pick up a book and you're like, hey, I'm going to start reading a couple pages every day. And now you're expanding your horizon, whether it's military regulations, whether it's, the SMA's reading list, the CG's reading list, whatever. You're building your professional and your personal growth. We're having facilities for fitness that are open 24 hours a day. All you got to do is scan a CAT card, right? So we have that. We might not have a commissary that's fully stocked, but what we do have in the commissary is the perimeter shopping usually, not Greek yogurt all the time. That I might cry about that. But outside of that, like, so everything Sergeant Major Washington just talked about, it's leading into, right, the soldiers I think we are actively retaining. I just came up with this line, I think 2 seconds ago in my head. It says we retain to sustain, because, like, that's like really that. What we're doing here, You
heard it here first.
You heard it here first, folks. We retain to sustain. That's going to be on my next T-shirt. But we really are trying to sustain the force, right? We're not just sustainers in Team 19. We're sustaining the force. We want to build a bigger, stronger, faster force. Really a leaner, stronger, faster force. Soldiers aren't what they were 18 years ago. We are getting way smarter soldiers now. Oh, yeah. So how do we utilize that? They want to know where they came from. They want to know the why. Sergeant Major Bartlett and I always ask that. It's not a soldier asking us, why do we do that? And they're being disrespectful. No, they just want to know. And it's our job as senior leaders, explain the why. And here's why we're doing health and fitness. And I think that we'll transition into it, but Sergeant Recker will talk about the changes the Army's making too. And I think we're doing all of this really to promote the soldiers and what continued service really should look like, and how we take care of not only the soldier but their family, and making Army a profession, not just, a combat situation.
Yeah, you mentioned for like unaccompanied soldiers, this is the time where they can really develop themselves. As someone who, I do have my family here, and chose this time to pursue my master's degree. Now I'm thinking those dependent restricted areas I went to for a couple of years, maybe that's when I should have done it.
Right.
Because there's a lot less time.
Well, I love that you said your family is here. I think the hardest thing as a career counselor, and this is my second OCONUS tour as a career counselor, and the number one thing I get is the soldiers that have their families. It's hard for me to explain to them why they should stay in the Army. And the number one reason, and I know the Ross family isn't like this, and I'm going to explain why in 2 seconds. But the number one reason is there's nothing for us to do. We're stuck on the base. Humphreys, there's people that have never been outside that gate, right? At least here, if you live on Walker, you got to drive to Henry. So at least you see Korea for 1.2 miles, right? But outside of that, Humphreys, those folks, some people never leave the gate. And I know the Ross family goes out and they see things, right? Myself, I go every weekend. If I'm not in a softball tournament, I'm going to Namhae. I'm going to see the bullfighting. And it seems like everything I do, a week later, Hana Tours is doing it. And it's like $20 more than when I did it by myself. So I encourage folks, especially if you're with your family, get out, go to Hana Tours, screenshot all their little books, and then go do it yourself, right? Like, pensions are super cheap in Korea. Take your family places. Sergeant Recker loves hiking, and the mountains here are great. She will not hike with me anymore because somehow I continuously get us lost. But we're still alive. So I asked, but did we die? We did not.
We did not die. However, comma quote, we did not stay on the trail neither. But I have only been here for 3 months and 2 weeks, and I have managed to hike over 154 miles worth of mountains in Korea, and I have biked over 237 in the 3 months and 2 weeks I've been here.
Yeah, I was going to say you haven't been here that long, but
I do not sit in my room. And I hear a lot, the soldiers will say, well, Sergeant Recker, you have a car. I do have a car. Do you know what I use that car for? Grocery shopping. The only time I drive my car is if I'm grocery shopping. That is because I live on one of the steepest hills, and dragging that red wagon with 4 cases of water, 4 gallons of cranberry juice, and all of my cooking food. No, that's not me. That's well beyond preparing for the ACFT. That sled drive is gonna be nothing if I have to carry that red wagon up that hill. So I walk everywhere. If I'm not walking, I'm riding my bicycle. I love the bike path that they have over here. I'm going to ride my bike from Busan all the way to Seoul, which is 396 miles. We're going to put this event together. We're going to show soldiers what it is Korea has to offer. Korea is a great, amazing, beautiful place. The issue is as Sergeant Savage was saying, is a lot of people aren't getting out, right? And if you're not getting out to see what it has to offer, you're doing a disjustice to yourself. It is amazing. It is beautiful. I do not speak Korean, and I do not understand Korean. However, I have used Papago. I had a full-blown translated conversation through Papago app while I was hiking one day. I had a Korean group join me for lunch, and we shared food on this rock, and we had a Korean English translated conversation through Papago app on my phone. It was amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to stay in Korea, to re-up, and moving away from that. If you do want to re-enlist, stay here. There's some changes that are coming down the pipe with that option. What can you tell us about those?
So there are going to be some new changes as of 1 October. So one of the biggest changes is the fact of the entry point for the NCO Career Status Program, which is formerly known as INDEF. A lot of people get a little intimidated when they hear the words INDEF. It used to be 12 years, and it's going to go down to 10 years. And a lot of people are going to be like, oh, but Sergeant Recker, like, I'm only halfway through. When you go INDEF, it gives you more flexibility. So though they are lowering it from 12 years to 10 years, ask your servicing career counselor those questions of what is the flexibility that INDEF provides you, right? And again, we don't call it INDEF anymore. Now it's NCO Career Status Program or NCO CSP, but it is the same concept, right? But if you don't know those questions, ask. talk to your service and career counselor. They will explain to you what that flexibility is. That will be one of the biggest questions I'm sure that will come running through our office come 1 October is, well, Sergeant, now I'm at 10 years. How come I don't get any options? Well, actually, you get more options. It's just not on a contract. The other changes we're going to have is your reenlistment opportunity window is going to go from 15 months to 12 months. The Army has HQDA sat down and they went through the statistics. Like, most people reenlist once they hit 12 months, when they have 12 months remaining. Yes, you still need to go to SFL TAP. Yes, those are still great opportunities for you. And again, career counselors are not here to sell you on staying in the Army. Career counselors are here to make sure that you have a plan in or out of the Army. But it gives you an opportunity to make that plan. The first time you come see your service and career counselor should not be when your window is open. You need to be talking to them. Ask them, how do you set yourself away from your peers? How do you set yourself apart? What do I need to do to be successful in or out of the Army? The window, that doesn't stop people from being able to progress, right? So the row, yes, is changing from 15 to 12, but that should just encourage their soldiers to go speak to their service and career counselors prior to their window opening so that they can plan accordingly, so they have that opportunity to do so. And then the final change is the extension. Minimum length to 18 months. It's currently 12 months. So right now, up to tomorrow, you can extend for 12 months, right? They're going to get rid of that. The minimum is going to be an 18-month if you're in your row. With that is, if you think about it, if you are 12 months from your ETS, right, and you ask to extend for 12 months, you're adding 12 months to the backside of that ETS, right? But when you re-enlist and you still have 12 months left and you re-enlist for a minimum of 2 months, you're again only adding 12 months to this contract, right? So by putting it to 18, at some points you could find that it's actually more beneficial to do a re-enlistment anyway. And that is a big misconception of the difference between a re-enlistment and an extension. Is some people don't understand that when you re-enlist, the term length that you're re-enlisting for starts the day you re-enlist. So if you're re-enlisting for 24 months, you're 24 months from that date of your signing that new contract. Whereas if you're extending, you're adding on to the ETS date you currently have. So and that's a big misunderstanding of what the difference of the two actions are. Okay.
Anything either of you want to add on to that?
You know, I think it's for Sergeant Major Washington and I, we've seen 24-month windows, we've seen 15-month window, we've seen 12-month windows, we've seen some kind of a rolling window that you could talk to us then and then, but you can't talk to us here. You know, but here's the deal, right? I like to think of it financially. 12 months out, when you're 12 months from your ETS date, no matter what day it is, if you're on the 365th day or you're on day 1 from your ETS date, your bonus will be higher than if you were 15 months out. Because how we calculate bonuses is you have to add at least 12 months past your current ETS date. And by doing that, you're going to get literally the next bump up. So if you do a 3-year re-enlistment and you're 12 months out, well, you're getting the 24 months bonus, right? Everyone thinks, well, this says 36 months and I'm doing a 3-year re-enlistment. I said, yeah, but we're only going to pay you for what you're adding. You already owe me 12 months, right? So when you look at the bonus message, and I understand not every MOS gets a bonus, but when you look at it and you understand the math, we're doing this really to make the biggest decision. And the bean counters up at the Pentagon really have looked at all the numbers, and they've witnessed most soldiers make their decision within 12 months. Is it going to be a little bit tougher in Korea? Maybe, because the soldiers may not show up here within 12 months of their ETS date. They might show up 15 months out, and then by that time they could be placed on assignment, whatever. But part of what Sergeant Major Washington, Sergeant Recker, the team is working on is when they in process, we're counseling them right away. We're implementing these changes so that they know their options. So when their window does open, we're ready to go. And then we can talk to their branch manager and say, hey, they're planning to do this. And, you were saying during the break coming up, you've got the Ask EM process coming up. So your manning cycle is going to open. And that's another thing that we're implementing with and working on. Right now, initial term soldiers don't go into the manning cycle. They work with retention. Mid-career soldiers are kind of that gray area where we have to snatch you before you get to the manning cycle. And then career soldiers, which Sergeant Recker was talking about, these are the options that are afforded to the career soldiers, especially when they're in the career status program. Those programs are there. So we not only just help you sign the contract, right, but we're the subject matter experts on all of these things, and we counsel everybody. So I'm excited with the changes, and I know Sergeant Major Washington's excited with the changes.
Yes.
Because she wants to be number one in the Army again.
And we shall. Okay. And I just want to add on one thing about that career status program, formerly known as INDEF, which Sergeant First Class Recker and Master Sergeant Savage already talked about. But I have to add, because a lot of people, they stray away from it. They're scared when they hear INDEF or the career status program. The benefit to this program is one of my favorites is because a soldier doesn't have to keep, once they're eligible to go in the career status program, formerly known as INDEF, they don't have to keep going to their company commander asking for permission. Can I stay Team Army? Can I keep my job? Can I keep my career? Nope. When they're in it, they're in it. Also, a lot of people who are going into the career status program, they feel like, well, how come I don't get options anymore? How come I don't get any options anymore, but everybody else does? Well, actually, everybody who re-enlists, even if they come through a career counselor, they're only getting what the Army have available for them. It's just spun differently. It sounds differently. Like, oh, you can do regular Army, you can do stabilization, you can do Conan Station of Choice, overseas, you can do all of these things. But people who are going into the career status program, they get those same things, but they don't have to go through a career counselor to be the spokesperson for them. They got their big boy, big girl pants on at this time. Now they can go straight to their branch manager and request and lay out their demands for what they want. And if the Army has it, they'll give it to them. If they don't, they'll tell them no, they'll give them why, and offer something else for them. So to me, the career status program is now you've grown up into an adult. You don't need anybody, a middle person, doing the talking for you. You go straight to the big dogs, HRC, to request what you want. So I just wanted to add that piece on.
Okay, well, great. And I know we talked about getting you out so you can go to the BLC graduation here on Camp Henry, speaking of taking care of soldiers. But I always want to thank all of you for coming by, and I know we'll see at least a couple of you again. I don't know if we'll get Sergeant Savage for the third time. We'll see.
Maybe one more.
Yeah. But I want to thank you again for joining us right here on the Every Soldier Counts podcast. Thank you.